In today's lesson, we will talk about describing shape. A distribution is symmetric if the left side of the graph is a mirror image of the right side of the graph. In reality, almost no distribution of real data is exactly symmetric. So when a statistician uses the word symmetric, he or she probably means roughly symmetric. Skewed right is a distribution where the right side of the graph that contains the half of the observations with larger values is more spread out than the left side of the graph. Don't be fooled and want to say this is skewed left because it has higher numbers. It's where the tail of the graph is. If you'll draw a curve over the top, kind of go down along the side, you'll see it spreads out more to the right, and that would be skewed right. Skewed left is pretty much the same, just going the opposite direction. So the tail is to the left in this case. So again, if I draw my curve over top, then I can see I have a longer tail to the left. Unimodal means there's only one distinct peak. It doesn't mean that it might not go down a little bit somewhere before, but not very much. That would not make it not unimodal. Bimodal has two distinct peaks. Notice on this one we have a peak here, go down, go back up. Don't be tempted to go down and up again and say it's trimodal. Okay, this is what I was speaking about on the last graph. It just goes down a little, it doesn't stay down, it goes right back up. So that would be bimodal with two peaks. In a uniform distribution, the heights of all the bars are about the same. It's rarely going to be exactly the same, so you can say approximately uniform if you would like. In the 1986-87 regular season, Magic Johnson of the LA Lakers led the NBA with 977 assists. Here are his assist totals from each of his 80 games in the season. So you're going to construct a relative frequency histogram to display his distribution of assists. So from 0 to 5, he had 2. From 5 to 10, he had 18. From 10 to 15, he had 35. 15 to 20, 24. 20 to 25, 1, for a total of 80. And then you would calculate the relative frequency by dividing the frequency by 80. And the histogram, the relative frequency histogram, is shown here. Now before, we made a dot plot and separated it to make our frequency histogram. You do not have to do that. If you would rather use tally marks or whatever works for you is fine. Describe the shape of the histogram you constructed. So if I go back and I draw a curve over top, then I would say that that is probably roughly symmetric and unimodal. If you said it was slightly skewed right, that would be okay, but I would say roughly symmetric. Construct another relative frequency distribution for Magic Johnson's assist distribution with a different class width. So in the last class width, we counted by 4s. In this one, we're counting by 2s. And that changes it just a little bit. Using smaller class sizes makes it more evident that it is skewed right, but it is still unimodal. So the answer, does the shape remain approximately the same, would be no, it skews to the right. Melissa and Madeline love pepperoni, so much so that Melissa works at Domino's after school. So they decided to investigate the number of pepperonis on a large pizza from Melissa's store. Over a period of 6 days, Melissa counted the number of pepperonis on every 5th pizza that was made. And here's the data. So if we look for 25 to less than 30, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, and our relative frequency would be 4 out of 30. Which is 13%. (30 to 35), we have, oh, not including 35, sorry. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I missed that one before. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that one should have been 17%. That one will be 33.3%. And then 35 to 40, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 40 to 45, we would have 2. Which is 6.7%. And 45 to 50, we have 1, 2, 3. So our total number of pizzas was 30, and our total relative frequency should be 100%. So here's the relative frequency histogram, and it says describe the shape. So if I draw my curve over it, then I can see it's slightly skewed right. And it's unimodal.